First of all, thank you for the invitation. Very interesting to listen to the two speakers before me. I will start from where the minister left it, or part of what he said in relation to the problems with the electricity system, which is not the case with the gas infrastructure, because gas infrastructure actually is very reliable. I represent here and speak on behalf of 70 companies, which are European gas infrastructure operators, so LNG terminals, pipelines, and gas storages. Gas infrastructure is extremely reliable, and it provides an extremely high level of security of supply, which we've seen very well in the past 2 years, indeed. So our LNG terminals are providing 40% of gas, which is imported to Europe. The storages are storing 1/3 of the annual gas consumption. We operate also 260,000 kilometers of pipelines. And although many of you are aware that actually the system in Europe was built on the way that it was transporting gas from east to west, right? Mainly. Right? And this is something that we also manage with our efforts, let's say, in the past years to make sure that now there are flows through west to east now. And of course, for the moment, as a tool, we are providing this with natural gas. But in the future, there will be possibilities, of course, for decarbonization. And I know that next panel is going to discuss a lot on that. Because the infrastructure, the gas infrastructure, is something that is an extremely valuable tool, because a lot was invested, and with a more minimal investments on that, on repurposing, we can use this network for different types of energy, let's say. In relation to the region, indeed, Matthew already mentioned some of the complexities. The regional has lacking some interconnectivity, which is important to look at that and to have a proper investments on that. Of course, there are countries not in this region, but more going to Slovakia, Slovenia, basically Czech Republic, also Austria, which geography is your geography, right? So they do not have direct access to LNG. And that's why such kind of developments as a vertical corridor, it's extremely important to have a possibility to receive an LNG from those countries which are really making efforts and investing in such kind of perspective. It's good to see the efforts between the different countries from the region on the perspective of the vertical corridor. It's extremely important to mention here that every specific country which is part of this initiative needs to have a specific financial investments in this regard, because some of the countries already managed to have, but some others or some other projects still needs to have financial support to increase the capacity for the vertical corridor. This is extremely important. It's good to see that indeed Alexandroupolis is going to be operational as 1st of October. Basically the other thing which is good to mention here as something as expansion and support to the diversification of the whole region is the fact that Bulgarian, by the way, although that I'm working in Brussels, Bulgaria is also having an expansion of its gas storage, Chiren, which is going to have also a possibility to, the region to have a possibility and access also to a gas storage. This is the situation for the moment. Indeed, the gas infrastructure is providing a huge, impact towards the security of supply. Indeed, sometimes I'm having the feeling that the policymakers are taking this for granted, which shouldn't be the case, because a lot of efforts and a lot of investments was done in this perspective. And basically the way that we managed the whole crisis, the energy crisis, and after that what happened with the invasion in Ukraine, was taking a huge efforts from our side, from the infrastructure operators. Germany actually is a good example in these regards, considering that almost from one day to another in political level, they took the decision for having these LNG terminals, the FSRUs, and they really showcase that when there is a political will, things can happen very quickly. So now in Europe, you have like 38 terminals operational, so being FSRUs and also LNG terminals. And basically, this is something that helped very much because when the crisis started with the invasion, especially the Repower EU document, which was issued by the Commission, indeed put very big pressure on us. Also with the level of the storages, which was supposed to be filled, so LNG terminals, which was supportive. So security of supply, indeed, this is something that we contribute to the maximum, but it's also good to look, let's say, on the targets that we have in future. And it's also good to see here that the region is also looking on this perspective. The vertical corridor, we hope it's also going to be, having a possibilities to see in future for hydrogen readiness. IGB project, which we were expecting for quite a long time, it's good that it's also operational. It's a game changer that started on 1st of October 2022. It's good to see also the efforts which the region is putting on the perspective of decarbonizing by having biomethane, hydrogen on their infrastructure, and also considering CO2, which is probably more of a European, West European perspective, but hopefully also something to be considered here. And let's do not forget that security of supply and decarbonization actually are the different sides on the same coin. Let's finish this way.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and I'd like to come back to that a little bit later, perhaps, because they're two sides of the same coin, but actually that means they're on opposite sides of the coin. There's an implied contradiction, which I think we should explore a little later on. But before we move on, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to reflect on the specific case that Matthew raised about this bottleneck between Bulgaria and Turkey, and how that, any system can only go as fast as its slowest member. And if this is a choke point in this whole project to integrate European energy supply, that's a problem. So I wanted to give you an opportunity just to give us your thoughts about that.
Well, in relation to diversification and also to decarbonization, I believe it's similar, but every different country is having a different speed, correct? So we should not underestimate the fact that there are different possibilities to invest in different countries, and also the decision, the regulation, and their specificities from country to country. As far as for Bulgaria, I hope so in principle we have now different sources, which is good, right? Because 2 years ago there was we were having a contract with the supplier. And that was the only possibility for Bulgaria to get gas. Now it's improving, let's say. We have different projects, we have different resources. So basically, yeah, I know what Matthew is speaking about. It's a very tricky and sensitive topic. But I hope that a solution on this perspective is going to be found.
Okay, I don't want to get you into trouble, but I didn't want to move on without...
I think it's probably more a question for the politicians. I don't know if you agree on that.
Totally.